Salutations, welcome to Love and Language of Literacy. My name is Sophia Lee, and today I'll be discussing how teenagers limited themselves. So the other day I walked into my ELA class and my teacher, Mr. Klein, had been reading Fever 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson, and he just finished reading it for like the billionth time. Of course, being the book nerd I am, I had to stop and discuss it with him. He talked about the whisperings for a movie, and Laurie, was it Laurie or someone else, had been teasing about it on Twitter. But what we talked about was that basically any movie of the nature or of Fever 1793 would be absolutely destined to fail. And while we were both really sad about it, we kind of came to the conclusion that was the truth. Basically, that's what I want to talk about. So YA movies, definitely not books at all. I'm not criticizing books, but the movies themselves and other media like TV have boxed themselves into two different categories. One, the contemporary, and two, the dystopia, overlapping with some fantasy, paranormal. When I say contemporary, I mean like The Fault in Our Stars, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, Paper Towns. People have always been suckers for like rom-coms, and especially high school movies. And when you bring in the elements of comedy and heartbreak and just first love and self-discovery, people always eat that up. The Fault in Our Stars, as you all know, is a fight for love. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl is like a cynic's view of the world. Paper Towns is a journey of self-discovery. The Duff is just a comedic high school whirlwind. And there's one style that people have always been drawn to, and even when YA wasn't that big in terms of our modern day media, there was always just that classic high school story, like Clueless and movies of that sort. And then in the past few years, there's been the dystopia. And when I talk about the dystopia, we all know I mean The Hunger Games, Divergent, and then branching into paranormal, like Twilight, and I don't want to say this even because I know it flopped, but City of Bones. And there's been that niche, and people have always just loved action and adventure and just things that are bigger than ourselves, especially with the dystopia niche, because it's futuristic America or whatever country you're in. It's the future and what could have gone wrong. We always have loved speculating about that, even with books like Timeline by Michael Crichton, or Crichton, I cannot pronounce that name. And then with the paranormal, it's cool that there's the swoon where they love interests like Edward and Jacob. And then we can bring it back a few years to movies like Harry Potter, where it's just fantasy and magic and you're just so enthralled with the story. And then that could have happened in terms of movies with Percy Jackson, but we all know Percy Jackson movies absolutely failed. Anyways, what I want to say is that I don't know why we've limited ourselves as teenagers and just as watchers of YA, because I know a lot of YA fans are not just teenagers, obviously. But for the past year or so, at least sometime I've been on Twitter and just social media in general, we've been pushing we need diversity. And if you don't know, diversity is just about everything that we haven't talked about previously. It's about stereotypes, it's about race, it's about sexual orientation, gender, social identity, and the social constructs that society has developed that we all just want to tear down and break past, because no longer does it have to be the white boy and the white girl falling in love. It can be like the Asian, the African American, no matter what. And I love that this is being brought into YA literature. In fact, Armchair BEA's theme this year was diversity, and that's amazing because we need more people of color, we need more exposure to disabilities and just everything that we've been robbed of basically in terms of our education as readers and just as a society in general. Besides diversity of social constructs, we need diversity in terms of genre, because besides paranormal slash dystopia slash some fantasy, I really do mean just some fantasy, because there's of course been Lord of the Rings, obviously, Hobbit, Aragon, things of that sort, but that has all been older fantasy and not so much new. So we haven't really had movies similar to, let's say, Daughter of Smoke and Bone or Throne of Glass. But we need to open up the historical fiction, steampunk, just gothic thriller kind of genres to the public, because I'm positive audiences would gobble up things like The Madman's Daughter or Oliver Bray's Diviners just as much as anything else that we've previously had out. There's obviously also Outlander, but that's in the kind of Game of Thrones, Stars, HBO niche, because obviously not every parent of a 14, 15-year-old is going to let their children watch that just because of its mature content. And also the viewers of Outlander and Game of Thrones, while there are so many of them on the BookTube community, they don't tend to be the teenagers the YA media is mostly shooting for. I sincerely hope that one day we can have movies like Fever 1793 that we know won't bomb, because yes, plot is a little bit slower, it's more about character development and the actual problems and issues, which was the disease of the time. And there's this assignment that I did for ELA class a few months ago, I think, and I actually posted the entire thing on my blog. And I did a book to movie screenplay for my favorite scenes from Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wayne. I've ranted nonstop on my blog channel about this. And this is basically a World War II historical fiction kind of thriller. Mr. Klein and I discussed how it'd be so difficult to turn into a movie because so much of it has to do with its character development and historical background and just so much backstory. Readers and viewers of today probably would want to sit down and either learn or go through because they want just the action and the boom boom and the car chases, so to speak. And then I would also love to have something like Lies We Tell Ourselves made into a movie. This is about a black and a white girl in 1969, and they're one of the very first schools that have integrated, and they end up finding out that they're gay and they're trying to form a relationship or at least a friendship. And that is an amazing story to tell because it has the race and it has the sexual orientation and it's historical fiction, so those are 3 strikes for it, but also 3 strikes against it in terms of our modern consumption of media. I hope this discussion kind of made sense. I know I've talked really quietly and slowly because I don't want to disturb anyone because I'm not in America anymore. I'm actually in Sweden right now for my parents' work, but that's another issue altogether. I'm just dying to know your opinion. What do you think about our need for diversity? What do you think about the mainstream kind of genres that we've become accustomed to and the types of books that are being made into movies nowadays versus what could also have such a great chance? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Keep calm, read on, and I'll see you in a video soon. Goodbye!